If you would like to add fish breeding, fishing and boats to your farm sim experience, then you're going to have to take a look at the Highlands fishing expansion. You'll get to see some very nice Scottish looking landscapes and some very nice authentic looking villages with some lovely buildings, which unfortunately we can't go into, but overall the look is quite nice in this DLC. You'll also get access to 2 new boats and fishing, as in with a rod type fishing. The 2 boats are quite different. One is a speedboat, essentially, and the other is a cargo boat, which I really kind of enjoyed, actually, although it does appear to be more of a sort of a car ferry than anything else. The actual fish breeding and selling element of the game I quite like, actually. I thought it was quite nice. And there's also the option to participate, provide timber, to rebuild a castle, which obviously I haven't done, but actually I quite like the sound of that too. Which surprised me because I hated the roller coaster and I hated the yacht, even though I love yachts. I love everything to do with boating. That nearly enticed me in the previous game, but yeah, I'd like to see a castle rebuilt. I genuinely would, especially where it is. I think it would be nice. Something about bringing history back to life. Something about that. That's what captured it for me. So, yes, all right, I quite like that. Not so keen on the pirate ship idea. Not so keen on the windmill idea either. But the castle, yes, I think that could be quite interesting to see it getting rebuilt. So, the main town, which I think is called Kinlake, or Kenlake, I don't know how to pronounce it, it has a kind of an Edinburgh look about it. It reminded me of Edinburgh anyway. I like the harbour and the whole surrounding area, actually. In fact, if I'm honest, I quite like most of the map. I think it looks really quite nice. And yeah, I think it's really quite well done. Reasonable size, not massive. It kind of makes it look like it's much bigger than it really is. But I think they've got the lock area pretty nicely down as well. Sadly, there's no rowing boat. I mean, that would be lovely. Just go out in your rowing boat and do a bit of fishing. Maybe that, I think, would be quite good. And fishing. Okay, so we've got fishing now in the game. Thumbs up for that, but my God, is it crap. It really is rubbish. And half the time, when you're trying to get a fish out, you end up pulling like a buoy out of the water or something like that. So yeah, it's got fishing, thumbs up, it's crap, thumbs down. So it's kind of like a null point almost. But there are some really, really pleasant looking vistas out there, some fantastic views. There's also a steam train and a very nice bridge, which reminded me an awful lot of the Harry Potter bridge and train combo. It'll cost you £1,000 per hour to drive the train. And when it goes off the map, it just drops you at the edge of the map, leaves you there. Now you guys, well, some of you guys out there, you don't play realistically, so you're just going to press right on the D-pad and just end up in the next vehicle available. I refuse to play arcade games. I don't like them, so I wouldn't do that. I did do it in this review, but that's because it's a review, right? You understand. So yeah, I'm not very happy about that. I would like the train to loop back round. I'd like you to be able to change the terminals or whatever they're called, so that you can come back around and drive, just basically drive a loop. That's what I would like it to do. But no, can't do that. So that's a bit crap. Like I say, I may have already mentioned some really authentic Scottish looking buildings, some really historically accurate looking buildings, some pubs and some churches and things like that. They're really, really nice, very impressive. But you can't go in any of them. However, there is a nice watermill that I discovered, which you can go in. And I think they could do more with that, but you know, I did appreciate the fact that there was a watermill and it was spinning and you could step inside. So, okay, not the end of the world, but they need to do more stuff like that, I think, definitely. There's a few extra vehicles besides the boats that you get with the whole fishing thing, and the shop is nearly better. They've actually got stuff laid out in the shop, but actually it's exactly the same, unfortunately. It would be great if you could drive up that ramp and get the vehicle inspected by driving up on the ramp. And it would be great if they had products that you could buy in the shop, so you can pick them up off the flipping thing. just for a bit of realism, you know, like a sim. The fish breeding and selling, you've got trout and you've got salmon. The salmon is the most profitable, but the trout grows quicker for whatever reason. Actually, it's really good. The whole thing, I liked all of it mostly. There are some issues with it. It could have been a lot better, but what is there, I very much liked. I like the fact that you can buy the boats. I like the fact that you can place your fish farm sort of wherever you want it, kind of thing. I recommend putting it close to shore. Yeah, but you know, bearing in mind I play on hardest difficulty, hardest economic difficulty as well, you don't get a lot of money back for the fish. Now, all you cheaters out there who play at 360 times speed and have it on easy economy and I don't know, 50 grand per pallet, yeah, I mean, why are you even playing this game? You might as well just play one of those mobile games where you just press one button and everything gets done for you. And there are ways to completely skip even having the boat. You don't need to go out there to do anything. Well, I suppose you've got to start it, but even that you can do from shore. And if you're producing your own fish food, you literally don't need to do anything. I don't know what the point of this game is. Everything can just be automated. You don't have to do anything. So, whatever. Fun. It's the weirdest simulator in the world. It's not a sim at all. What else was there? Oh, buses. There were buses and coaches, double-deckers, and even some little shuttles driving about, which I quite liked. There were some minis. There was I think it was supposed to be, not a shotgun, what's the word? A Spitfire car. I could be wrong. But yeah, just some really nice old English cars driving about. There was a Robin Reliant three-wheeler out there as well, which was a surprise to see. So all these little quirky things, they all add up, you know. And the weird thing is, right, all the things I like about this map and this DLC all added up to me really liking it, and I was going to give it a big fat thumbs up. But then I saw the price. At best, this is a £10 to £15 map, and they're asking you 25 quid. So from this point on, I'm not recommending it, because 25 quid is an absolute rip-off for what they've done. That's a whole freaking game. And all they've done is produce a map, and there's not even anything particularly clever on it. So let's talk about the negatives, shall we? Despite being part of the season pass, it didn't auto-install, which was a bit frustrating. For some people, that must have been a real headbang situation. So yeah, some people would have been really upset by that. I just found it quite annoying. The first NPC that I met was Grandpa from the good old US of A in Scotland. Why? The second guy I met was from Asia. Very odd. Very odd. In fact, they were both odd. The oddest of all the NPCs has to be the lumberjack's son. I really wish I had never spoken to him. Again, not Scottish. Why? Why are all these people living in Scotland who are not Scottish? What the hell is going on in the world? I don't want to go to Scotland and meet Americans. Jeepers, creepers. Imagine that. What an awful world that would be. I want to go to Scotland and meet Scottish people. There's one Scottish dude, but he's a bit of an oddie. They're all oddie. All the NPCs in this entire game I find very unsettling. The textures, especially on the first farm, really poor. The walls and the windows especially, terrible. All over, really. The textures all over this game are pretty shocking. And despite having a solid 60 FPS throughout my gameplay experience, I was getting stutters. And they've copied and pasted objects all over the place. There's a ruins that you'll come across quite early on. I saw that at least 4 times throughout the map. Exactly the same. Just copied and pasted. One of the barns that's in the first farm, that's copied and pasted somewhere else, but you can't actually go in the second one. I'm wondering if you purchased the land, whether it would unlock or not. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe I should have purchased it to find that out. But again, it's definitely a copy and paste. I think I mentioned already there are numerous iconic buildings, a lovely big church, some really nice looking pubs, and just buildings overall that look great, but we can't go inside of them, which is just, I find that really poor. It's 2025, for goodness sakes, put a bit of effort in. There are some labelling issues, again, lazy developing. The large boat has some serious issue with the gears. When it's in reverse, it still goes forwards. The gears in this game in general are utter crap. You can stick a tractor in 24th gear, drive off as if it's in first gear. It's just shocking. It calls itself a simulator, but it doesn't simulate a goddamn thing. The boat physics in general are shocking. I think the big boat is meant to have azimuths, but if they have, then they have no idea how azimuths work. Furthermore, if you haven't got your finger on the accelerator, you can't A, change gear, or B, steer the boat, or any vehicle, in fact. Shocking, really shocking. The boat physics overall, awful. I thought they were quite good at the beginning, but then I tried to do something, I nearly sunk the speedboat. That was awful. The offshore farm area, which I quite like, is designed in a way that there's no clear path for you to get to look at anything. So you have to kind of jump over it and jump on some pipes and over the wall, and it's just, again, lazy, shocking development. There's a lovely massive bridge, which you can't drive over. The train physics are awful. The train clips through buildings. When you call the train to you and pay £1,000 an hour so you can drive it, it doesn't pull alongside the platform. You have to go across the tracks to get to it. And again, the train go off either side of the map and pop up the other side, but you can't go with it. It'll just drop you out the train, even though you're paying £1,000 an hour to be on it. And there's no way of looping the train round. I never used to like the train, but at least this steam train in here kind of has a bit of a bit of something about it. There's some irritating bugs. I mentioned the boat, being unable to respond to the NPCs, things like that. And the big boat crane, oh my god, the controls for that thing are shockingly bad. In fact, all the controls in this game are shockingly bad, and the controls interface is shockingly bad. They still haven't listened to my recommendations and my advice. I think they're done with Farm Sim. I think they're just going to roll out this half-assed cheese rubbish for the remainder of its life now, because they've got so many followers, no competition, and nobody calls them out on any of this stuff that they do wrong. So it's very annoying. My recommendations, the same as usual. Physics, like in a proper simulator would have. The boat controls need sorting out, and the ability to tie off a boat when you're mooring. You wouldn't pull up along a dockside and not tie the boat off. That's just ridiculous. The ability to remove trash. I noticed there were loads of caravans and just crap everywhere. It's like, this is my home. I want to clear that area and do something with it, but you can't. I think we should be allowed in the really nice buildings, not all the buildings, but the really big nice ones like the churches and things. I'd also quite like to be able to get on the bus and travel around via the bus and the train without it kicking me off. So yeah, I mean, it sounds really quite negative, but overall I've got to say, genuinely, I really quite like this DLC. The thing that made me switch from a yes, you should get it, to a no, don't bother, is the price. I think it's disgustingly overpriced. So right, these were my final thoughts. I'm just reading them now. If a giants and farm sim hater like me likes this DLC, then it must be good, but it sure isn't perfect. Honestly, the price is my main dislike and the reason why I don't recommend it. If it was a fair price, I would definitely recommend it, because I liked it an awful lot more than I hated it. So I give it 7 out of 10. They need to sort the pricing out, because they're ripping people off at £25. That's a whole new game, 25 quid. And this DLC is not that impressive. Nowhere near being a £25 DLC. Absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. They put very little effort into some areas of it. Some of it looks nice, but no, I think they're taking the absolute mickey here, if I'm being totally honest. Anyway, these are my thoughts. Let me know yours, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care. Goodbye for now.